All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here tonight. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your evening to come up and join us, and those viewing online for joining us as well. I'm going to introduce you to Paul Daniels. He is an exercise physiologist and owner of Utah Fitness Institute, and his specialty is in bariatric patients. So those of you after weight loss surgery, looking at strength and conditioning training. And so he's going to talk today more about what to look at after surgery, how to get into an exercise routine, and then answering questions that you have. We're going to spend a lot of time doing that. So hopefully you've come today prepared with questions, as we're going to answer those as well today. So Paul, I'm turn this time over to you.
I'm getting a PhD, but apparently simple device is stuffing. Okay, there we go. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming and listening, because I know that exercise is not the most exciting topic to sit and listen about, but what I've tried to present is things that are informative, things that you probably don't know, and you can make an informed decision about if exercise is the right thing for you. So as Carly said, I'm an exercise physiologist. How I became associated with Rocky Mountain is I'm finishing a PhD at the University of Utah in exercise physiology, and I worked with Rocky Mountain recruiting their patients to be in my research. And what I did my research on was the effects of weightlifting on muscle. And I will show you some statistics that we've gone through and show you how much muscle that you can expect to lose following your surgery. So that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. And then I will be happy to answer as many questions at the end of the talk tonight as you have. I'll say as long as you have one. So hopefully everybody's like not going, nobody ask any questions. Okay. So what should you expect after surgery? And I know a lot of you have gone through surgery, a lot of you already know this, but obviously you're going to lose weight. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have gone through the surgery. You're going to lose a ton of weight. And most of it is fat. So you're going to expect a lot of fat loss. You're going to see a reversal of comorbid conditions. So if I know a lot of you are either diabetic or were pre-diabetic, a lot of you probably that disappeared. Insulin resistance. So a lot of the things that were associated, a lot of the disease processes that were associated with being overweight go away for the most part. Some of the negative things that you might experience are loss of muscle. So I'm going to address that. And with that loss of muscle, you're also going to lose strength. And that's critical. And I'll talk about why that's really important. So with weight loss, obviously comes fat loss, muscle mass loss, and water and mineral loss. So when you're losing weight, that's what you're losing. You're losing fat, you're losing muscle, you're losing some bone, and then along with the weight loss, you're losing a lot of water. Fat cells have about 8% water, and muscle has quite a bit of water in it. So part of that weight that you're losing is also water weight. Water's quite heavy. So let's get into the loss of muscle. So these are just some statistics. So at baseline, and this is on average, the group that they studied had about 25 kilograms or roughly just a little bit under 60 pounds of muscle tissue. And then 6 months after the surgery, they lost about 7 kilograms or about 16 pounds of muscle, which constituted about 27% of their total muscle. So that's a lot. And then at 12 months, they lost up to 36%. So over 1/3 of all of their muscle tissue disappeared as a result of losing weight. And that's a couple of reasons for that. One is that you are no longer big. So you no longer need all that muscle to carry that weight around. So you get rid of it. The body's very efficient. But the other reason is because you're on a ketogenic diet. You're eating a very high protein, but very, very low calorie diet. So your body has to steal those calories from someplace in order to fuel your energy. And a lot of it is fat, but a lot of it is also muscle. So that's what's happening there. Oops, I think I went the wrong way here. Yes. So associated with the loss of muscle is a loss in strength. Now, this is people who have gone through duodenal switch. So how many people have gone through the duodenal switch? So a few of you, okay. So this is typical of duodenal switch. And I'm just using this as an example because it's pretty similar for most of the other surgeries as well. But you can see people that were on a diet, so people that just lost weight through not eating as much, they lost about 11.8 kilograms of their strength for what they tested. And if I remember right, this was leg extension. So they lost about 12 kilograms of what they used to be able to do. That's just on a diet. Now, the people who went through duodenal switch, they lost about 70.8 kilograms of what they could do. So they lost. So you can see right here that the loss in strength was far more dramatic for this population because they lost more muscle. And that's what we're trying to prevent. That was my whole research project, trying to prevent muscle loss. So here's another one for strength. And these people went through gastric bypass. And this was at 4 months after surgery. At 4 months after surgery, in the quadriceps, so the strength of the quadriceps muscles, which is the front of the leg, they were about 25 pounds. They were able to lift 25 pounds less at 4 months. And then for the arms, the biceps, 14 pounds, triceps, back of the arm, 18 pounds. And then static HG, HG stands for hand grip, so hand grip strength. And in our field, hand grip strength really represents total body strength. It's a good indicator of total body strength. And they lost about 38 pounds of their total grip strength. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the pattern. You're losing muscle, you're also losing a lot of strength. But why is that even important? Well, as we age, and I'll get to another slide in a second. As we age, we get muscle weakness. Our muscles naturally become weaker. And that's due to inactivity as well as hormonal. So we also get muscle wasting, and that muscle wasting and that muscle weakness leads to a decrease in what's called muscle quality. And I'll define muscle quality for you. It's a mathematical equation. It's a simple math equation. You take strength and you divide it by the size of the muscle, and that's what we did in my research as well. But that's getting lower and lower, and muscle quality is an indicator of how good your muscle is. And one of the things that impacts muscle quality is the amount of fat that you have. So the more fat that you have, it actually lowers the muscle quality. So your muscles are actually in poorer quality when you have more body fat. So we're trying to enhance that. But this decreased muscle quality then leads to a decrease in physical activity, and this becomes a vicious cycle. So then you become lower in physical activity, which leads to lower muscle quality, which leads to greater muscle wasting and greater muscle weakness. And then as you get older, you get into what's called frailty. And frailty is an issue because frailty leads to earlier death, leads to a higher mortality rate. I'm not trying to throw fire and brimstone down on you. I'm trying to just give you the facts, and this is all research-based information. So one of the interesting things that I found in doing my research was that if you take a group of people that have had bariatric weight loss surgery and you ask them, how much more active are you now that you've had your surgery and you've lost your weight? How much more active are you? And if they answer a questionnaire, they say, I am a ton more active. I'm really active. But if you actually put a device on them, which we used in my research, and you really look and see how active they are, they're actually not any more active than before. they perceive themselves as being more active, but they're not. And that's what all the research is showing. They're showing that people think they're more active because they can do more things, but statistically and looking at all the minutes and how hard they're exercising, they've shown that people are really not more active, and that's a problem. So what this graph is showing is muscle mass. So we're looking at muscle mass, and then we're looking at age, and this is the critical point right here. At about age 45, and I fall into that group too, and just because I'm an exerciser doesn't mean it's not happening to me. That's the point that you can see that these lines start a little bit steeper decline. And this is men. Men have actually, they lose muscle at a faster rate, and that's hormonal because of the testosterone. They're producing less testosterone. So they're losing it at a faster rate than women, but women are also losing it at a faster rate. And that's the natural decline. So if you couple the natural decline in muscle and the natural decline in strength with now you've gone through bariatric surgery and you're declining in muscle mass and strength, it compounds. And that's what we don't want. Because again, that will lead to frailty, which has a lot of medical consequences later on. So I know all of you are wondering, well, what about weight regain? What can I expect after surgery for gaining weight back? Well, this is kind of what the trend is. You're going to plateau in your weight loss, and you're going to bottom out in your weight loss at about 2 to 2.5 years after your surgery. And it's variable, but that's the average. And then you're going to start a slight trend of increasing weight. So right here is about 0 to 24 months following surgery. So you can see that the weight gain is negligible, pretty minor. But 2 to 5 years, you can see that, and this is in kilograms, you're going to gain up to about 10 kilograms. So this is the median, this is the high point, this is the low point, and everything below this, 50% of the people gain about up to 8 kilograms, and the other 50% gain up to about 16 kilograms. And that's 2 to 5 years. So at a max, you're gaining about 30-something pounds back, and at the low end, maybe a couple of pounds back. But the average is about 16 to 17 pounds. And then if you go further, greater than 5 years, well, greater than 5 years, some people have gained probably almost all of their weight back. And then down here, they still have gained, some people, this is the group right here that have gained the least that have stayed active. They've stuck to their diet and they've stayed active. And that's really what we want from you guys. So why exercise? And why did I put a basket full of cats? Absolutely no reason other than they're my cats and I think they're cute, and so I took them. So that's Maya and that's Annabelle looking all cute. Okay, so imagine, I'm just going to read this. So imagine a physician says to a patient, in the bottle before you was a pill. And it's a marvel of modern medicine. It will regulate gene transcription throughout your body. It'll help prevent heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, and 12 kinds of cancer. I lost my microphone, I'm sorry. So let me give a general synopsis of that again for those of you on camera. In the bottle before you is a pill. It will help gene transcription. It'll help prevent heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, and 12 different kinds of cancer. It'll help prevent gallstones, diverticulitis. It'll improve your strength and your balance, as well as your blood cholesterol, make your bones stronger. You'll grow new capillaries in your heart and your skeletal muscles, as well as your brain. It will improve blood flow and delivery of oxygen and nutrients throughout your body. Your attention span will increase. If you have osteoarthritis, not rheumatoid, but osteo, although exercise will help rheumatoid, it'll help improve your arthritis, and your pain level will go down. The pill will help regulate your appetite. You may feel that you prefer healthier foods over non-healthy foods. You'll feel better, younger. You'll test younger on a battery of tests. Your blood volume will increase. You'll burn fat better, and your immune system will be stimulated. But there's a problem here. We don't have a pill like that. but exercise does every single one of those. And I'm not talking crazy amounts of exercise. I'm talking about a moderate physical activity regimen. Okay? So we know that exercise builds strength. I don't think there's any secret about that. How many people here that have had the surgery had trouble before the surgery getting up and down stairs? Okay, how many of you now still feel weak going up and down stairs? Okay, a few of you. The women in my study, because I actually studied all women in my research, the one thing that they all told me was that they have absolutely no problem with stairs. I had one woman in my class who went through gastric bypass. At the end of the study, at the end of 12 weeks of weightlifting, she leg pressed 610 pounds. It was awesome. And every one of you is capable of lifting a lot of weight. You may not think you are, trust me, they didn't think they were either. They all kicked butt. Trouble doing everyday activities, exercise will help that. If you have trouble lifting things, exercise helps that. Becoming weak does not need to become the natural course. It doesn't. You will become weaker. I'm weaker than I was 20 years ago, but I exercise and I am not weak. When I'm 60, I will not be weak. Okay, exercise will improve your metabolism. You guys all want to retain your weight loss. If you have a bigger engine to do that with, it will happen. If I have more muscle in my body, that's my biggest metabolic factor in my body. I burn more calories with more muscle. So by keeping the muscle that you have or increasing the muscle that you have, you will maintain the ability to burn more calories throughout your life. And that equates to keeping weight off. But you still have to watch your diet. You can't just do that and then eat whatever you want. So, physical inactivity, being sedentary, is now considered a risk factor for heart disease. Just like smoking and having high cholesterol, it is a risk factor. So that's why we ask people to get out and exercise. So being sedentary is associated obviously with cardiovascular disease, stroke, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, impaired glucose, so being insulin resistant, which leads to type 2 diabetes. Obviously overweight and obesity, some cancers, and then musculoskeletal disorders. So because if you're heavy, you put a lot of pressure on your joints. And it takes a lot of pounding. So if you're lighter, those joints are much more, they can sustain the weight, as well as if you are active, you lubricate the joints. The synovial capsule around your joints lubricates it and keeps it healthier. Okay, so this is a crazy diagram. Physical inactivity, it's basically showing you what physical inactivity and physical activity are associated with, which is basically what we just talked about. Pulmonary diseases. So how many of you had sleep apnea before you had your surgery? A lot of you. How many people it's gone away? Pretty much everybody, almost everybody. Well, physical activity actually helps with some of that. So I'm not going to read all these things, but you get the idea. Physical activity and exercising is good for you. Okay, what are the benefits? All the things that are opposite of what I just told you there, that's being sedentary was. So it'll improve all of these things. Feel better. Now, through my research, I think, and I wish some of my research participants were here, because one of the common themes that I heard from all of these women was, not only do I feel better, but this has given me the confidence to do whatever I want. I mean, I had a woman that had never, ever hiked before in her entire life, and she was big. When she came to me at the beginning of the study, she was a big woman. She lost a lot of weight. She got very strong. She had very, very low confidence. By the end of the study, she was completely empowered. She knew that she could do anything because what she did in my research study was stuff that she never dreamed she could do. And she was able to do it all. Was it tough at times? Absolutely. Exercising can be difficult. The rewards are outstanding. So, why are you here? Well, one, hopefully to learn something. I own the Utah Fitness Institute, and we provide classes for bariatric surgery people and their loved ones, friends, family. Am I here to sell my services? Yes. But I don't want you to think that that's all I'm here for. You don't have to come to my class to get fit. It's more fun, I think. We specialize in bariatrics, but you can go out and do anything else and get fit. Okay? And if you're wondering what that is, ask me and I'll be happy to tell you that. So we do offer morning classes and we offer evening classes. It's in a group setting and it's stuff that Jennifer, and what was your name again?
Debbie.
Debbie can tell you, and I forgot your name too.
Robin.
What is it? Robin. Robin, they've all been to the class, and so you can talk to them and ask them about it. We do all kinds of crazy stuff. I have a big, huge, heavy rope that we swing, which I think is awesome. We've got balls that we throw on the ground that are heavy, and we got all kinds of stuff. And we work with your limitations. Okay, work within your limitations. I'm not trying to kill anybody. I'm trying to make you healthy. So, I'm hoping that you have some questions, and anything is free. If you want to ask me about my cats, feel free to ask me about your cats. Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to know about your cats.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so for those of us who don't live in a reasonable driving distance
Okay.
to your classes, is it better to, well, this is so loaded, this, I probably know the answer. Okay, so I have friends now who want me to go, I'll say brand names, who want me to go with them to Curves.
Okay.
Okay, better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm from Utah Valley,
Okay.
and there are, fitness centers, and my orthopedic surgeon, because I do have limitations. I have 2 artificial knees and back problems.
Okay.
Okay, so my orthopedic surgeon's office has a wellness/fitness with a pool and all the equipment.
Okay.
Because they rehab ortho. Okay, so for those, you said, if you're not gonna join your class, ask, what else can we do?
Excellent question.
Walking,
so what else
yes,
can you do?
right. Instead,
So let me kind of define a couple of things and then I'll kind of get into your question. So the question is, what can you do if you don't come to my classes? Anything that makes you more active. There's a difference between physical activity and exercise. Physical activity is just doing stuff that is active. If you go out and paint your fence, that's physical activity. If you rake your yard, that's physical activity. If you do a lot of that kind of thing, that's physical activity. Exercise, by definition, is going out and doing something to raise your heart rate for a set period of time. And we don't need to get into all that, but if you do anything like that several times a week, either more physically active or a structured physical activity fitness program, that's what you want to do. You just want to become more active. And start light. Start 20 minutes a day of something that you can do and build up to 3 or 4 days a week. And honestly, this is true. With exercise, typically more is better. You have to do a lot to really screw yourself up. So more is generally better. So if you can do more, do it. If you only have 10 minutes, do that 10 minutes. If you want to go to Curves, go to Curves. If you got friends that go to something, do it with them.
they don't especially want to go to Curves.
They don't.
I mean, I got into the need for weight loss surgery because I have basically led a sedentary life. My
Right.
job, which was a 60-hour-a-week job, was sitting and in meetings and very inactive.
One of the things I tell people that ask me, find something that you like. If you don't like to run, don't go running because you're not going to do it. Find something you enjoy. There's a lot of things that you can try. Hiking, swimming, walking, jumping up and down, do 100 million jumping jacks. Whatever's going to make you active, do that. Yes, thank you. Other questions?
So It sort of doesn't sound like that you're really promoting like the heart rate thing. Is it just better to exercise and not calculate your heart rate, getting that? I know that we've been told that if we don't break a sweat, we're really not doing it.
And that's a very fair question. So the question is, how do I exercise and how does heart rate play into that?
And I hate to sweat.
Okay, what's your name?
Kaylee.
Kayleen, you're not sweating, you're glowing.
Yeah.
First of all, go with that. Okay, so as an exercise physiologist, do I use heart rate? Yes, I do. Do I monitor it in my group classes? Absolutely not. Not unless I have a physician that says, this person needs to keep their heart rate within this range or below this amount. If you don't have some cardiovascular disease, it's generally not an issue. Or if you're not on a medication like a calcium channel blocker or a beta blocker, it's generally not an issue because those are types of medications that you're never going to get your heart rate high enough. So I like to use what is called perceived exertion. If I feel like I'm exerting energy and I'm breathing heavier, that's what I go by. So I'm not a huge stickler of the heart rate monitoring, although it's a very useful method. Just go out and make yourself breathe harder.
Another question.
Sure.
So in this whole getting stronger thing, is strength training a big part of that? Should it be?
Yes, based on this information, with what I do, I have one class that Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening, I think it is, that is designed for that specifically. Now, physical activity and exercise in general will build muscle, but resistance training builds the most muscle and it builds the most strength. Because lifting weights, everybody thinks you get stronger, but in my field, strength is a very specific definition and it follows a very specific protocol. And I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, for this population, strength training is very important. And for health, just being more active is important. So they go together. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about, I know you want some, but about your workplace, like,
Where is it?
like where is it?
Sure.
And if we go to here, will it tell us about it? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I mean, is it morning, you said morning and evening?
Okay, so let me tell you about where I'm at with my business and a little bit about my personal life. I am just finishing my PhD at the
No
University of
cats.
Utah. And I bring my cat, so no. And I started this kind of by accident. I was actually planning on going into academics and doing research and teaching at the university. And then I saw this need that this population really needed this. And I thought, yeah, this would be really good. So I do not have a physical location that is mine right now. That is in the works. But I rent space from a guy that is also in the same field I am in. And the name of his studio is iRock Fitness. He does personal training. So if you see a sign at the location where I do this, which is 2682 South Highland, which is on my website, it'll say iRock Fitness, but you're in the right spot. And we do morning classes as well as evening classes, and they're all kind of designed to keep you in shape. Some are resistance training, some are intermediate, some are beginning. If you can't make any of those classes, send me an email and say, these are the best times for me, because I would love to add more classes that more people can come to. Now, I showed up for the 6 a.m. class when I offered it free to everybody, and I was the only one there.
Yeah.
So I've currently suspended the 6 a.m. class, but if I have at least 4 people email me and said, I'm coming to the 6 a.m. class and sign me up and I'll pay, I'll redo the 6 a.m. class, because some people love to get it out of the way early. If you can only come at 7:30 at night, send me an email. I'll keep a little list, and if I get 3 other people to say, hey, I want to do 7:30, I'll do a 7:30 class. So, but I pay for the studio space. And if I'm there and I'm the only one, or if I pay my instructor and she shows up and nobody's there, I'm eating that money right now. So if you'll help me, that will actually really be beneficial, because then I can add more classes that people are wanting to do.
Do we pay by the class?
So I sell, there's different packages. The best deal for you guys is to do a couples. And that doesn't mean your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend. That means if you want to pair up you two, I'll pair you guys up, and it's cheapest that way. If you don't want to commit that long, because that's generally a 6-month or a year contract, you can buy a punch pass, which is 30 sessions. It's a little more expensive, and they never run out. You can do them, it takes you a year to do them, it takes you a year to do them. So there's different options. But you should come a minimum to really get benefits 3 times a week. And if you come 5 times a week, that's even better. And they're unlimited. If you buy a package, it's unlimited. You can come to all the classes every single week for no extra charge.
The Paradigm one?
Any of them.
Oh.
So any of the monthly ones are unlimited. And if you just buy a punch pass, I just punch it every single time you show up until it's out. You have a question?
Yeah. So what are the prices based on the monthly versus the punch pass?
Okay, now I gotta remember my prices. So let me give you a little heads up on the pricing. So I've compared my prices to, you probably all have heard of CrossFit. Okay, so I've compared it to CrossFit. I've compared it to a kickboxing studio that does kickboxing classes as an exercise program that's close by. And I come in lower than both of those, and they're all both unlimited. And if I remember right, and don't quote me on this because I'm pulling this off the top of my head, the couples is $199 a month, unlimited. If you're a single 12-month EFT, electronic fund transfer, I believe it's around 129, 119, something like that. And then a punch pass for 30 is 325. So if you compare it now, if you're looking to join a gym like Curves, it's going to be cheaper every month, but it's different. You're in my classes, you're supervised by me or one of my former students, because I used to teach at the U, and it's designed specifically for bariatric people, so it's supervised. So if you're looking for a cheaper, and I get that, you might want to go to a gym. If you want more specialized supervision, then you go to me. But I think I'm quite competitive price-wise, especially for my credentials. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you'd give me an example of what a resistance training versus weightlifting is.
They're the same exact thing. Resistance training and weightlifting is, so weightlifting, we typically think of barbells and dumbbells, and we call that resistance training because you're overcoming a resistance. But resistance training can be, and what I use a lot are heavy bands. So I've got bands that are that wide, all the way down to that wide, that add resistance to whatever you're trying to do. So again, your muscle has to overcome resistance. It's just different methods of doing that. If I do this, that's resistance, but it's my body weight that I'm resisting and gravity.
Well, I thought you said something to the effect that the resistance training was better than weightlifting.
No, I think what I said was the resistance training for building muscle is better than general conditioning. So general conditioning is getting your heart rate up, keeping it up, and burning calories and getting your blood flow going. And that does build some muscle, but it's very, very different physiologically than what resistance training does. Does that answer your question or not?
Yeah. And I got one more question.
Sure.
Just real quick. I'm very limited in a lot of the things that I can do, and I'm thinking that if I take a class with a bunch of other people, they're going to be doing a lot of things that I can't do. And then I'm wondering, what do I do in the meantime, So what I'm wondering is, do you have a program where you work with somebody and set up a personal program for them?
Yes, I
that
can
we
do
could
that.
do on our own?
Yeah, I do personal training as well, which that's not what I think you're wanting. But if you are looking for a specific program designed around your limitations, yes, I do that. It's not very expensive. I generally make you a program for about $50 that you can do for ever. Yeah, and all I need to do is meet with you, find out what your limitations are, and then design the program. Yes. Yes, Carly.
To maintain weight loss, how much should patients focus on strength training versus cardio exercise?
That's an excellent question.
Will you repeat it?
Yes, so the question is, in order to maintain or stimulate weight loss, how much weightlifting type exercise do you need to do versus cardio type exercise? So weightlifting, as I pointed out, resistance training, is going to build the engine. If you have a bigger engine, you're going to burn more calories throughout the day. And some of the research that I looked at that has been done in the past showed that building a bigger engine, putting more muscle on, can burn up to 100 calories more per day just by having more muscle on you. So that's 500 or 700 calories a week, or about 3,000 calories a month extra just by having more muscle on you. And 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So by just lifting weights and having more muscle, you're going to burn more calories. Now, the other thing with cardiovascular exercise is you're going to burn more calories while you're exercising. That's where you're going to burn the calories to maintain the weight loss while you exercise. So I like to combine the two. I like to build muscle so that you're always burning more calories. And then I like to be physically active, cardiovascular exercise, so that while you're actually exercising, you're burning a lot of calories. So I hope that answers the question. I can't give you specific numbers because it's so variable. Yes, ma'am.
So do you do the cardio exercising at your place too, or just the resistance?
Do I actually do the exercises?
I mean, if you were to join, do you do like cardio also? Or just
So the way
resistance?
I've designed, because I have a specific class that is resistance training.
Yeah.
Most of my classes are a combination. They add resistance training, but they add, like Jennifer will tell you, it's a tough workout, but it gets your entire body and everything physiological.
Your heart rate's pumping.
You're working out. It's a good workout. I've designed it so that you hit everything. Your entire body will be conditioned. Maybe not your hair, but
Yeah, it needs it. Could you work on that?
yes.
Is there any way to ever get rid of the back wing?
Okay, that is probably,
And the calves, because
and the
when
calves.
you lose weight, a lot of people still have big calves, like fat calves, not muscly calves, even though they're 120 pounds.
Okay. So the question is, does exercise get rid of the loose skin on the back of my arms and the calves? No. It won't. So, putting more muscle on will help to some degree to fill that space, but will it do it to such a dramatic degree that you'll go yay and wow? No, it will not. And I know that's really disappointing to everybody, but that's the truth. Yes, ma'am.
Once you lose the muscle, can you regain it and get it back? Or
Well, that is what my research is looking at, and we used MRI. Oh, I'm sorry. So the question is do you get muscle back after you lose it? Nobody's looked at that. I'm the only person that's ever done the research on it, and I have not gotten my MRI data back yet. This is what I can tell you. I assume so, but I don't have any proof of that yet. But everybody in my study got crazy strong. Their strength went off the charts. So I'm going, now there's neurological adaptations that make you stronger, not just muscle size, but I think because of the dramatic increase in strength, there had to be an increase in muscle also. So I think so. Other questions? Carly?
Someone has a question about individually or personal training sessions just with you, what the cost of that would be.
Okay, so the question is, how much do I charge for personal training? Most of my clients I go to their houses. So I do what's called in-home training. And I charge $85 an hour. And I know that that is prohibitive for most people. If you come to me at the studio, where I also have the classes, I charge $65 an hour. And that is, you can find cheaper trainers and you can find more expensive trainers. Some people like to double up and do the group or do the couples training. And it's more hourly, but per person is generally less. So there's a few options. So some people like that and some people can afford it, and I offer it, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have all the pricing posted on your website?
I don't, but I can actually have that up by tonight.
That would be helpful.
Okay, I'll put that up. So I will put the pricing up tonight. Did you have another question?
I just wonder how long you have to be a beginner before you become an intermediate. Because
Okay,
I
that
don't
is a
really like
great
this silly
question.
money.
So how long do you have to be an intermediate or come to the intermediate classes before you go to the, or
Beginner.
beginning classes before you go to the intermediate classes? You can come to the intermediate class as a beginner because my classes are designed to go at your own pace. If you're winded, and you will be, take a break in the middle of things. I don't have a problem with that. We're not going to point at you and say, "Oh, look at whoever, she's not doing." No, but we provide a very friendly environment. So how long? Most of my women that were in my study, and they were lifting weights before that, they did it about 6 weeks, and we went to the intermediate. It depends on how many times you come. It depends on your fitness level starting. But if you can only make the intermediate class, come to the intermediate class and just do what you can do. You'll get in shape, trust me. Ask Jennifer. Yes.
I'm not able to come to the clinic just yet. I'm working toward it. I was
Sure.
there last Wednesday with Kavita.
Oh,
I
okay.
did the
Great.
session that Wednesday morning. I'm working toward it, but I'm not able to yet.
Sure.
I know that before my surgery, I was on a very restrictive weight limit of 10 pounds.
Of being able to lift it.
Lift, carry, anything.
Okay.
How do I tell when I'm getting strong enough to be able to move past that?
Okay, so the question is, this person has a weight restriction on how much they can lift, and when do they know that they can lift more? I'm assuming your physician put you on that weight limit.
I don't know.
Okay, he holds the
He holds the key.
he holds the key, or she. So when your orthopedic doctor tells you you can lift more, then that's when we lift more. Because I have to follow their guideline because he is given that and I can't go beyond.
Okay.
But I would think, and I can talk to you more about what it is your medical issue is. We can talk about that and I give you maybe some idea
Okay.
later, yeah. Other questions? Carly,
What's your opinion of yoga?
what is my opinion of yoga? I love yoga. I put strawberries and blackberries in it. And it's excellent. I think yoga is great. I used to do yoga myself. It's a great workout. It helps flexibility. It definitely helps in muscle tone. It will help strength to some degree. So if the person likes yoga, I would encourage them to do yoga. Absolutely. I would encourage anybody to do anything that is reasonable. Anything, any kind of physical activity or exercise is good, and it's what they're doing, do it. Even if it's not Utah Fitness Institute. Are there any questions in the back there?
Yeah, your cats. How long have you had them? I'm a cat person.
Gosh,
I thought they were adorable.
I've had Grouchy for like 13 years. He's my oldest. So, but the other two, they're just little guys. Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know if you mentioned it before I came in, but how did you get connected with bariatrics?
How did I become connected with bariatrics? Well, I was about in my third year of the PhD program, and I didn't really have a subject to study. And I met a guy who was doing research in this area, and he said, "Hey, this is a hot area." And I wanted to do something very practical instead of just laboratory type stuff. And nobody had ever done this. And it was, as you can see, it's useful information. So I said, hey, I'm going to do that. And Rocky Mountain was kind enough to say, yeah, absolutely, come and recruit people. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a certain amount of protein intake that we need to increase our muscle mass?
Okay, excellent question. And that is, not only do bariatric patients ask me that, everybody asks me that. How much protein do you need to increase muscle? So as having gone through bariatric surgery, you're already on a high protein diet. Typically for people that are exercising, we usually use 0.8 grams of protein multiplied by their body weight in kilograms. Now you guys are already at a high protein content. So I would up it a little bit, but you're already pretty much there.
But we're not getting a ton because it's, you know.
And I know this goes against what Rocky Mountain and what all the dietitians say, because a lot of them will say, do not drink your calories, do not drink a protein drink. If you're exercising though, and you need more calories and you need more protein, and I even know that some of the nutritionists have said this, then go ahead and drink your calories in the form of a protein drink, because you'll get it easier that way. So does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Mostly. I don't have any
I'll go do the
specific
math.
numbers.
Can you say that formula again?
Yeah, 0.8 grams of protein for every kilogram you weigh. So in order to figure out your kilograms, how much you weigh in kilograms, take your body weight in pounds and divide it by 2.2. And that'll give you your number of kilograms. So I weigh about 150 pounds, so I'm about, I don't know, what is 2.2? 150 divided by 2.2, and that's how many kilograms I weigh. That's just an easy way of doing it. And then multiply that by 0.8, and that's how many grams you need. But you guys are already at like 60 grams of protein, I think. So you guys, most of you guys would be right there. Yeah.
Then you multiply it by what did you say?
0.8.
And that's a daily.
That's daily. And the harder you work out, the little bit more protein you need. Yeah. Any other questions? Carly?
What do you recommend for patients who have very little strength, have difficulty opening jars or doing simple tasks in the home?
Okay, so what do I recommend for people that have difficulty with daily activities regarding strength, opening jars and whatnot? If you have difficulty with those types of things, I would highly recommend you get into a resistance training type program. You know, whether that involves, you know, something structured or buying some weights at your house, and spend a little money having somebody teach you. If you're not going to have, you know, go to the classes or something like that, have somebody that knows what they're doing at least teach you a few things on how to do them. Because if you're having that much difficulty, you're already getting to that critical point in your life where your strength is declining, and it doesn't get better if you don't do anything. It gets worse, and that's bad.
What if the loss of strength, you said that you use hand grip as a general indicator
Right.
of, you know, fitness. What if that is in part because of arthritis?
Exercise helps arthritis, osteoarthritis, and especially getting in a pool, and swimming or doing aqua type aerobics. You're not going to get a lot of weight loss with aqua type exercises, but for osteoarthritis, exercise is beneficial. I have very, very severe arthritis in my thumb, and I have trouble doing things with my left hand, but I continue to do them because it helps. If I stop, I'm doomed. So do what you can, but build that strength up. And gripping, which when you lift weights, that's what you have to do.
I can't, like, what, if you can't make a fist?
If you can't make a fist, they have devices that they sell called wraps or wrist wraps that actually can help with that. So in your situation, it may improve your grip strength some, but it will improve all of the other strength probably more so, which is also important. Because one of the leading causes of death after the age of 65 is falls and breaking a hip, and strength really prevents that. So having strong lower body really will prevent that. Any other questions? You have a question, don't you?
Oh, no, she asked it.
She asked, she
Pretty
stole
much.
your question?
Yeah, I was,
Yes.
Can you, like, I don't live close by, so
Okay.
can I come and have you put a program together for me? A program such that I could turn around and do it at my home?
Absolutely. I charge a fee. and invest in a few, and I can show you some things that I use that aren't terribly expensive that will last a long, long time. And you can do them in your house. As a matter of fact, I just sent my parents who are in their 70s, and my dad's becoming quite frail, and it's scaring him, as it should. Straps, these elastic, big rubber bands are about 41 inches, and I set up 2 sets of that, and I gave them a whole bunch of different exercises they can do, and they were varied. So you start with the small one, you work your way up to the big one, and you get stronger and stronger, and they're great because they last you the rest of your life. So yes.
How do your bariatric classes differ from the general population? Are there things that we need to be watching for if we're working out on our own, or different things?
Not particularly. The benefit of how I design the classes is, one is full body. One, it really hits a lot of muscle strength stuff, especially lower body, because you're losing that muscle. The benefit of the group class is really the intensity. One is you're probably going to work harder than you would on your own, and you're going to probably stick with just my class, just any classes you can join, because it's more fun. There's more people there, you get to see them, and you get to talk, and they have the same experiences that you have. So I don't hold any magic key with my classes. I have a little bit more insight, and so some people, like I had one woman come to me 2 weeks after surgery, and she was struggling, and I said, you really should not be coming until maybe 5 weeks out. You just don't have this hormonal changes and everything that have not occurred. So I just have more insight into working with the bariatric population than anybody else. You got a question?
Yes. I forgot it though.
Well, when you remember, you let me know. Other questions? Going once? Yes.
This has probably nothing to do with your program, but you said when you break a hip, then that's just a death sentence, and I wonder why is it when you break a hip?
Because when you break a hip, you're typically, the question is why is breaking a hip so bad? When you break a hip, you are typically already at the point that you are so frail. Most people think that you fall and break a hip. The majority of people break a hip and they fall as a result. So then what happens is you're now bedridden. And when you're bedridden, muscle wasting occurs at a much more dramatic rate. And when muscle wasting occurs, strength declines, and it's just this downhill slide. That's what happens. Any other questions? Okay, you remember.
I remember. So if we want sort of a catered plan for us, is the best way just to email you to set up a time to meet?
Sure. You can email me or call me. Yep. I can really, if you don't see it offered on my website, that doesn't mean I don't do it. So, I try to accommodate anybody. If you just want a program made, some people say, I want a periodized program. I have this goal at this time in my life and I want to get there. And I'm like, all right, then let's do that. And I make it, it's very detailed, it's a little more expensive, but like a lot of people who are athletes, they'll say, I've got this race coming up and I need to do this time. Okay, let's get to that. So sure.
Now, I don't know, you probably know about this, that's what I'm asking.
Well, let's hope so. If I don't, I'll make something up.
I understand you mentioned athletes, so that's why I'm asking. So my husband just joined a gym, and you get everybody's opinion in there.
Sure.
And he had surgery too, and he doesn't want to.
Bariatric surgery?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to lift weights and defeat the purpose of the losing part because he's still on his losing trend.
Okay.
So he wasn't sure what the balance is, but everyone in
That's a
there.
great question.
This is like guy talk. There's also something about something called HGH.
HGH, yes, human growth hormone.
What the heck is that?
Okay.
And does it even happen to that?
So the question is, what is HGH? How does it, what's the importance of HGH? And does lifting weights affect your weight loss after the surgery? So there's no research on does weightlifting affect weight loss after surgery, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. First of all, I know that you're all really focused on the weight loss. How many pounds am I losing? But you kind of have to take a step back from that if you're going to exercise and realize, and this is what I tell people who are non-bariatric patients as well, especially women, because women are very focused on weight. When you exercise, you're going to gain weight in the form of muscle, which is good. That's exactly what you want. If you look at your size, a lot of women, when I start working with them and they say, I weighed myself and I'm 5 pounds heavier, and they freak out. And I say, all right, cool. How's your clothes fit? And then they think about it and they say, well, my clothes are actually fitting a lot looser, and then they're fine. Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to gain some weight, but you're going to be thinner. You're going to be leaner. Now, the human growth hormone is a natural hormone that both men and women produce. Men produce more of it. Weightlifting stimulates that, especially large muscle group activity. And that's good because you want to gain size. I developed the program at the University of Utah during my research. I developed that program to be specifically for increasing human growth hormone in order to get the biggest benefit of muscle gain. So your husband should not worry about weight. He should just worry about getting stronger because the weight's going to come off.
Do you think they should take a supplement of the
A human growth hormone? I don't think it's a bad idea as long as it's medically supervised, taking human growth hormone. But here's the other factor with taking synthetic steroids in general. If you have a heart problem, if you have cardiovascular disease, research has shown that if you take synthetic steroids, that you are far more likely to have a heart attack. So that's a factor to consider. Good question.
Want to reiterate one thing
Sure.
for you? I was in boot camp and I weighed 128 pounds. 12 weeks later, I weighed 140 pounds, but I dropped 2 sizes. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I just wanted, because I cried when I gained all that weight.
Yeah, because people will gain weight and they'll freak out, but then they're like, oh man, but I'm leaner, I'm clothes, yay. So yeah, that's what you should expect with exercise.
I want to kind of plug your.
Plug away.
I've been to a few classes, and what I love about it, because I had joined another gym that was horrible, I won't mention them, but I was bored. And with yours, I don't have a second to be bored. I'm panting and sweating to death, but I love it. And all the stations are different, and you're only there for 20, 40 seconds at a time, and it's very, and there's actually, and he'll dance for you sometimes.
And I'll dance sometimes.
So that's what I really like about it, is it's so different.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do try to think of new and different things. I got my core things I always like to use, but I'm always trying to come up with something new. Any other questions? Yes?
How long is one?
The classes generally last 50 minutes to an hour, right around there. So I start with a warm up, we get into the real heavy activity, and like I said, you go at your own pace. I'm not trying to kill you. And then we do a lot of core work, so abs, back, things like that. So it's really a total body workout. And trust me, by the time the middle portion of that is done and over with, you're ready to do some core. Yes?
Do we need to pre-register if we just show up for class?
You can just show up. However, because things are just starting and I've had people not show up and then I show up and then I just have to go home, it helps me if you tell me, at least at the beginning, that you're going to come to my class. Because then I can plan ahead. Because like I had my other trainer, Kavita, come this morning at 7:30, not a single person showed up. So not only did I have to pay her, I had to pay for the gym space and nobody came. So please, yeah, if you can, let me know that you're coming at least for the first couple of weeks until we get something established, and then after that, no. Anything? Yes. You got a question now.
So with more muscle mass,
Okay.
that increases our numbers for, say, your BMI.
Yes.
So how-
Okay.
So, all right.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
All right. So I know that BMI, so the question is, how does increasing muscle mass affect BMI? So let me give you an analogy. If I am a pro football player, a lean one, okay, and I'm 6'4" and I weigh 300 pounds and I have 12% body fat, is my BMI going to show me as being obese?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. don't worry about, BMI is not the end all of determining your body fatness. It's a method we use, and before you had your surgery, it was good. But now that you have had your surgery and you're slimming down, it's less accurate. Don't worry so much about BMI and worry more about your body composition as far as how much percentage of body fat I have versus lean.
All right, now with body composition.
Okay.
Now they've got scales out.
Okay.
That measure your body composition.
Right.
What would be a good hitting point on a body composition scale with your lean mass and dry lean mass?
Okay, so body composition, the percentage of body fat that you have is age dependent, because typically we gain fat as we get older for several reasons. So I'd have to look at the charts and look at your age and determine that. But it's right, and it's different for men and women too. So without throwing out some wrong numbers because I don't have those charts memorized, you can email me and I will give you that information.
All right.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Anybody asleep yet?
So I think you did one free class here, is that correct?
I did multiple free classes. I think I did 4 free classes.
And are
And
you
one of
done?
them nobody showed up to.
Well, you didn't have this first. So now are you done with your free classes or is there anyone?
I am done for the most part with my free classes. Now, if you absolutely beg me, I will let you come once for free. Because yeah, I want you to get an experience and see what it's like. And if you're like, absolutely not, because he's not going to give it to me for free. But I can't give them for free forever.
Right.
Yeah. So there was a question I thought somewhere back here. No. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your attendance and your questions.